For about the last year or so, I've been going to the Austin Zen Center on Tuesdays, which is right down here in Washington Square. And we do like a prompted writing. And sometimes they ask us to put it up on the website. And that's what I'm going to read tonight. And there's like, the prompt is a poem. And I'm going to read maybe half of the poem. And then I'll read what I wrote about it. And this is by W.S. Merwin. And the poem is this. Listen, with the night falling, we are saying thank you. We are stopping on the bridges to bow from the railings. I gotta make it bigger.
That's what she said.
We're running out of electricity, no. I should have brought a piece of paper, sorry. I'm just going to read what I wrote, okay? So it was a long poem about writing and about saying thank you and all that stuff. And I wrote, thanks. Now that's somebody else's. They put everybody's piled up on top. So if you want to go see this whole thing together, it's at justthis.austinzencenter. I think it's org. Is that .com? W.S. Merwin begins his poem, which is our prompt tonight, with the word "listen" on a single line. But I'm all thanked out, so I guess I can talk about anything else. Oh, just before arriving here, I went to Wheatsville to buy coffee beans and ate half a rosemary and salt bagel with some Gouda cheese. And you could probably smell the aroma of French roast wafting out of my orange-colored day pack. If that bothers anyone here, let me know and I'll go shopping after Zen writing in the future. While walking into Wheatsville, I met a fellow gardener from the Sunshine Community Gardens, where we both have plots. She said she had been looking for me. Seems our eggplant plants have more produce than they can eat, and she invited me to pick all I could use. Thank you, Mary Ann and John. In my checking in before we started writing tonight, I mentioned making crock-pot beans and having the electricity turned off by Austin Electric to allow the affluent crew to safely clear some tree limbs on the wires in the next block. My building was not notified, but that's another story. The power went off promptly at 9 a.m. The pinto beans have been going on high since about 7:30 or 8, and I had just added the sauteed onions and garlic and green bell peppers from the frying pan when the lights went off, and so did the crock pot. During the power outage, I rode my bike to the H-E-B grocery store at 41st Street in Red River. Even though the H-E-B at Burnett and Koenig is a lot closer, I had to use up some time before the 1 p.m. scheduled power outage was over. The terrain to 41st Street is mostly flat with some gentle slopes, whereas the route to Burnett Koenig is up and down and up and down and up and down, and going back is down and up and down and up. Added to that route is 2 4-lane road crossings, always difficult for pedestrians and cyclists. I'm always thankful when I get across a busy avenue, either on foot or bike. 4-lane roads are more dangerous, even at intersections with traffic lights, because the vehicles are making turns. The beans turned out real nice eventually. Then I had a little lull. Oh, there's still like 6 or 8 minutes left before the 20 minutes that we have to write our overs. So I wrote this, because I had a lot of those beans. Stomach full, mind dull. Second guessing every thought, better to listen on empty.
Dizzy, feeling the world spin beneath my feet. Something so subtle, suddenly transparent, transformed into braille, bumps rising to the surface to meet my fingertips and let me read. I try to catch my breath and get my bearings, but the air has changed. Even my skin feels tight, restricting the oxygen flow. So I peel off my armor and let it drop like discarded clothes that has outlived its purpose, though the cotton has grown soft and familiar from wear. Without its protection, I stand bare and exposed. Register the shift in weight, recalibrate for the missing mass. Aware I will now have to negotiate anew how to move my body through space. Close my eyes and savor how smooth and lithe it propels itself. The breeze now at my back and not cold and hostile against my face. Occasionally my feet lift lightly from the ground, having been accustomed to the constant downward pressure. Like when I finally got my braces off and my tongue explored the newly slick surface of my teeth, but missed the dull pain I'd grown accustomed to. And I realize I've been trying to run with sandbags tied to my ankles, loaded down with shame and accumulated burdens that I'd gathered over the years and carried slung like potatoes over my shoulder, twisting the natural curve of my spine. An awkward three-legged race, tripping over tangled limbs, never realizing I could just untie the sash and be free. So now I'm peeking over the edge, all my cells suddenly oriented to air, oxygen permeating, seeping into every open space, shoulder blades tingling, feathers tickling, wings ready to sprout. Nothing to hold me back. It's now, now, and now. It's all there's ever been. Every option in my mind is already a potential reality. I feel like a young colt at the first hint of chill in the fall, prancing, throwing my head and swishing my tail, testing out the newfound strength in my legs, running the fence line until I find an opening, kick my heels at the discovered freedom, hiding in plain sight. This is that inheritance I've been seeking to pass down to my children. This exuberance, this joy of living, this awareness of self in tune with its surroundings, knowing its own strength intrinsically, rejoicing, rejecting the doubt that creeps. Hope is my name, but I am just now starting to live up to it. I buck the saddle, clamp down on the bit, refuse to be broken. But you are welcome to come ride bareback with me. Skin to skin, heartbeat to cheek, sweat mixing salty, and let the wind whisk it away like a kiss. I'll run all night under the moon and wake up to an open sky. When you slide off at daybreak, we will bow to each other hand to heart, not knowing if we will ride again. We never do. But maybe, just maybe, there are many sunrises and sunsets ahead. But the saddle, it's staying in the shed.
Brad Grosz.
All right. I wrote that damn Vertigo poem for you so we could do a
But
swap.
you couldn't say I'm hope.
What's that?
You couldn't say I'm hope.
He's everybody's hope.
All right, so now I'm going to tell a story about when my lawyer puked. Why not? As your attorney, he said, obviously referencing Dr. Gonzo, I strongly recommend that you board a Chinatown bus and get down here to Philadelphia for the weekend. All right, Esquire, and yes, he was and is my lawyer. I'll see you at the bus station by the Sheraton in Philly in about 4 hours. This had better be important. We can discuss it over the phone. We can't discuss it over the phone. This had best be done in person, he replied. Turns out the bastard knew I had the weekend free and just wanted to hang out. And while Esquire might have been on my payroll, he's also a dear friend, so I was relieved to learn that this visit wouldn't involve paperwork, signatures, or admissions of guilt. Esquire and I bullshitted and laughed at numerous bars in the Philly area. Somehow he had managed to shoehorn himself into the role of lawyer for bar owners in trouble in Philadelphia, which garnered no complaints from me. I don't think we paid for a single tab all night. He also represented a few after-hours social clubs, so the drinking went on well into the wee hours once everything else had been shuttered. We eventually decided to head back to his flat so that we could be bright-eyed for brunch in the morning. In the walk to his cadet blue Mustang parked outside, I asked, "Do you need me to drive, man?" I mean, after all, I can handle my liquor. Was definitely more sober than he was, and for better or worse, I am fairly adept at driving under the influence. He silently waved me off, and we strapped in. Chad, I figured, if you're gonna get pulled over for a DWI, you might as well have a lawyer behind the wheel. And on the ride, which was a bit treacherous, I glanced at his gas gauge, and it clearly read, empty. Esquire, looks like we're out of gas. Are we cool? Again, waved me off with a smile. Okay, I thought. I used to have a pickup truck with a broken gas gauge in which I just write down the mileage every time I filled up the tank. Every 200 miles, you top the bastard off. Maybe this was a similar situation. After all, it was another Ford. Old Fords don't have a respectability for reliability. We parked, went to his apartment. He pointed at the couch, which was definitely not meant for a reclining man over 6 feet tall, and stumbled into his bedroom. I wadded up my socks over my boots for a pillow, used my leather jacket as a blanket,